All right, ready to dive deep. Today, it's all about synthetic media,
Oh, yes, synthetic media.
a topic that might sound like, pure science fiction,
Yeah,
but it's becoming a bigger and bigger part of our lives, wouldn't you say?
it really is. And as Jörg-Owe, the author of the essay we're looking at today.
Synthetic media.
Synthetic media, exactly.
That's our main source for this deep dive.
He points out that we're way past the era of just movie special effects.
Right.
This is AI-generated content, a whole other ball game from traditional media.
So, instead of a musician composing a symphony
Right.
or an artist painting, we've got algorithms doing the creating now.
Yeah, exactly. Think about it. Hyper-realistic video game environments.
Wow.
AI composing music that tops the charts.
Is that even happening yet?
It is.
Really?
Yeah, and even personalized education tools that adapt to your learning style.
That's wild. So how did we even get here? Did ancient civilizations have their own versions of synthetic media?
Believe it or not, there are some historical roots.
Really?
Schneepat talks about ancient Greek automata.
Like robots?
Kind of like early robots designed to generate text, sounds, even music.
Like those old clocks with moving figures, that kind of thing?
Sort of. Think more rudimentary versions.
Okay.
Schneepat mentions the musikalisches Würfelspiel.
Say that again?
Musikalisches Würfelspiel. A musical dice game from 1757.
Wow, 1757.
It used dice rolls to create musical compositions, a really early form of algorithm-driven creativity.
I love that. I love those little glimpses into history.
Yeah.
But obviously things have taken a huge leap forward with AI, right?
Absolutely. The late 20th century,
Yeah.
with the rise of computational power and the internet, that paved the way for the complex synthetic media we see today.
So like deepfakes.
Yeah, deepfakes, AI-generated videos,
Sometimes a little creepy.
definitely can be so realistic they're almost unsettling.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to the potential for misuse and all of that. But first, let's break down the types of synthetic media, because it's not all video.
Right. Schneepat outlines several categories. We've got text-based synthetic media, which is powered by natural language generation, or NLG.
NLG.
Yeah, you've probably interacted with it without realizing it.
Like when?
Chatbots, websites that pump out new articles constantly.
Oh, like those customer service bots that pop up when you're browsing.
Exactly. But it goes even further.
How so?
You have models like OpenAI's GPT-2
I've heard of that one.
that generate incredibly human-like text.
Really?
Yeah, and then there's audio synthetic media, which includes speech synthesis.
Okay, like Siri and Alexa.
Yep, Siri, Alexa, but also AI-driven music generation.
Wait, hold on. AI composing music? So are you saying the next big hit could be written by an algorithm?
It's already happening.
Wow.
And some of this AI-composed music is winning awards.
No way.
Yeah, and then of course there's image and video synthetic media, which is where those deepfakes live.
What about that text-to-video synthesis I've been hearing about, where you feed an AI text and it spits out a video?
Yeah, Schneepat talks about that too.
That's got to be huge for content creation, right?
It's a potential game changer. Schneepat says it could automate video production, making it faster, more accessible.
But there's that dark side, right?
Yeah, like you said, that potential for misuse.
Right.
We'll dig into the ethical stuff later.
What?
But first, I'm curious how synthetic media is actually being used in different fields.
Yeah, the possibilities seem endless.
They really do, and Schneepat dives into a bunch of applications.
Like what?
Let's start with entertainment and gaming.
Okay.
AI is making these experiences more immersive and engaging. Think about games like AI Dungeon 2, which use AI to generate unlimited storylines.
So no two players would ever have the same experience.
Exactly. It's interactive storytelling.
Amazing. What about NVIDIA? What are they up to?
Companies like NVIDIA are using AI to turn basic videos into playable game demos.
That's mind-blowing. And what about music? How's AI changing things there?
Schneepat talks about robotic instruments that can play on their own.
Wow.
Even systems that generate sound waves directly. No human input needed.
So you're saying, like, no human composer at all?
Yeah, it's a whole new level of musical creation.
Wow. And what about healthcare? I feel like AI has the potential to transform that field.
It does. Schneepat highlights how AI can streamline clinical workflows, make things more efficient.
Oh.
For example, Google's MedPolem models.
Paula.
Yeah, they can have conversations with doctors
Wait, really?
about complex medical conditions.
So AI could help doctors make better decisions. That seems like a huge responsibility.
It is, but the results have been impressive so far. These models are even showing accuracy on medical licensing exams.
That's both exciting and kind of scary.
Yeah, right. It feels like we're on the edge of breakthroughs and potential problems.
Big time. And speaking of potential problems, we can't ignore the misuse, especially with something as powerful as synthetic media.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
I mean, deepfakes, spreading misinformation, creating biased content.
Right.
It feels like a minefield.
Schnepp is very clear about the need for responsible development and use.
Yeah.
And that includes strong data governance frameworks.
So in a world where it's getting harder to tell what's real and what's synthetic, how do we even begin to verify content? How do we know what to trust?
That's the big question, and luckily Schnepp offers some potential solutions.
Okay, like what?
There's a group called the Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity, or C2PA.
C2PA.
Yeah, they're developing tech that embeds metadata into AI-generated images.
So like a digital fingerprint.
Yeah, like a digital fingerprint or a nutrition label.
I like that analogy.
It tells you where the content came from, how it was made.
That makes sense.
It helps build transparency and trust.
Yeah, transparency is key, especially as synthetic media gets more sophisticated.
Definitely. And speaking of sophisticated, Schnepp also talks about its potential for education.
Okay, how so?
Platforms like Google Colab, they give students access to powerful computing resources for machine learning.
So AI could actually help people learn more effectively.
That's the idea. Simplify complex tasks, provide customized learning.
Like a personalized tutor, almost.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the what of synthetic media, but what about the how?
Ah, you want to get into the tech behind it?
Yeah, it's impressive, but I admit I'm still a bit fuzzy on how these algorithms actually create such realistic content.
Well, there's some powerful math and computation at play.
Okay.
One of the key frameworks is called generative adversarial networks.
Or GANs?
Yeah.
GANs.
That sounds intense. It's basically two neural networks.
Like two computer brains.
Yeah, locked in a constant battle.
Really?
One network, the generator, creates synthetic content.
Okay.
And the other, the discriminator, tries to figure out if it's real or fake.
So they're constantly challenging each other.
Yes, pushing each other to get better.
Like a digital arms race.
Exactly. And through that process, the generator gets so good, it can fool even the most discerning eye.
Wow. What about those diffusion models I've heard about? Are those similar?
Schnepp mentions those too. They're gaining traction.
No.
They work by refining random noise into a coherent image.
Noise. Like static on a TV screen.
Kind of, but step by step, the AI turns that noise into a detailed image.
That's incredible.
It is. And a crucial ingredient in all of this is data.
Data.
Yeah. These models need to be trained on massive amounts of real images, videos, audio, text.
So the bigger and better the data, the more realistic the synthetic output.
You got it. And of course, there are big considerations when it comes to collecting and using all that data responsibly, something Schnepp really emphasizes.
Right. Responsibility is key. We can't just let the tech run wild without thinking about the consequences.
Absolutely. That's where the ethical and regulatory questions come in.
And that's a whole other can of worms, which we'll get to next time.
We will. So, one of the things Jörg-Owe really digs into is the whole legal and regulatory landscape around synthetic media.
Yeah, it's got to be complicated.
And honestly, it's a bit like the Wild West out there.
I can imagine. Trying to create rules for something that's changing so fast.
It's like trying to nail jelly to a wall, right?
Exactly.
So where do things stand now? Are there any laws in place?
Yeah, are there?
Well, existing regulations are struggling to keep pace.
Yeah,
Schnepp points out that different countries are taking different approaches. There's
fun.
no easy solution, but there's a big push for transparency.
Transparency, okay.
We need to be able to tell when content is synthetic, which is where those digital nutrition labels come in.
Right, like we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But what about copyright? If an AI creates something based on existing work, like music or art, who owns the rights?
That's a thorny issue.
Yeah.
And Schnepp acknowledges that. Most copyright laws are based on human authorship. Trying to apply them to AI-generated content, it just doesn't fit.
Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame.
There are tons of debates happening right now.
Really?
About whether AI should be considered a creator.
Wow.
How to balance the rights of original artists with the potential of this tech.
It sounds like a legal nightmare.
It's complicated, for sure.
Are there any specific laws being proposed right now to address these challenges?
Schnepp mentions a few.
Okay, like what?
The Personal Data Protection Bill, which focuses on protecting people's data when it's used to train AI models.
Okay, yeah, that's important.
And there are lots of discussions around regulating automated decision-making, especially when AI is used in healthcare or finance.
High-stakes areas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Finding that balance is key.
Yeah, fostering innovation but protecting rights.
Right.
Making sure things don't spiral out of control.
Absolutely. And that's where the ethical considerations become even more critical.
Right, which Schneepat talks a lot about.
He does. It's not just about laws, but responsible development and use.
So what does responsible development actually look like in practice?
Well, Schneepat argues that we need to think ahead, anticipate problems.
Okay.
Ask ourselves tough questions.
Like what?
What are the unintended consequences? How do we prevent bias in AI-generated content? How do we guarantee transparency and accountability?
It sounds like it takes a village, right? Not just developers, but policymakers, ethicists, even everyday users.
You got it. It's not just a tech issue, it's a societal one.
Yeah, absolutely.
As synthetic media becomes more embedded in our lives, it challenges our ideas about truth, authenticity, what it means to be human.
Wow, yeah.
Schneepat's work is a call to action for all of us to be part of the dialogue.
I like that. It's a reminder that every cool new technology comes with responsibilities.
Right.
We have to be thoughtful about how we use it, especially when it's getting harder to tell what's real from what's synthetic.
You know, something that really struck me from Schneepat is that as we move further into this era of synthetic media, we need to sharpen our critical thinking skills.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We need to question what we see and hear, double-check information, be aware of the potential for manipulation.
It's like we need a whole new set of digital literacy skills.
Exactly. And that goes beyond just spotting deepfakes.
Right.
It's about understanding the tech, recognizing biases in AI systems, being aware of the ethical implications.
So it's a real shift in mindset.
Yeah.
We can't just passively consume media anymore. We need to be active participants.
And that active engagement is key. Schneepat highlights open discussions and collaboration. We need diverse perspectives to tackle these complex issues.
Like we need a collective moral compass to guide us through this uncharted territory.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
And I think it gets to the heart of what Schneepat is saying.
Okay.
We need to be thoughtful, deliberate, intentional in how we develop, use, and regulate this tech.
Yeah.
The decisions we make today shape the future of synthetic media and really the future of our digital world.
That's both scary and exciting.
It is, right?
It's empowering to know we have a role to play.
Exactly. And that's what makes Schneepat's work so valuable. It's not just analysis, it's a call to action.
Yeah.
To be informed, engaged, responsible digital citizens in this age of synthetic media.
It's a good reminder that even though the tech is changing so fast,
Right.
the big questions about ethics, responsibility, human values, they're still front and center.
And those aren't questions with easy answers.
Nope.
But by wrestling with them, having open conversations,
Yeah.
we can hopefully steer towards a future where synthetic media is used for good.
Yeah, okay.
Making our lives better without eroding trust or our humanity.
Well said. Sounds like we've covered a lot, but
Yeah.
I'm sure there's so much more to explore when it comes to synthetic media.
Absolutely. This field is changing so rapidly.
Yeah.
What we know today might be outdated tomorrow.
Crazy.
But that's part of what makes it so fascinating.
Yeah.
There's always something new to learn, new challenges, new possibilities.
Yeah. It really shows how important it is to, stay curious and keep learning, especially with technology moving so fast.
For sure.
I mean, who knows what kind of wild breakthroughs or, even challenges are right around the corner in synthetic media.
Yeah.
It's kind of exciting, actually.
Absolutely. It does feel like we're just at the beginning of this journey.
Yeah.
It's going to be a wild ride, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But we're all on this ride together.
Mm-hmm.
The more informed and engaged we are,
Right.
the better equipped we'll be to handle whatever comes next.
Couldn't agree more. And speaking of being informed and engaged,
Yeah.
I think it's time for that final thought-provoking question we like to leave our listeners with.
I was going to say, gotta have that.
Yeah.
Something to chew on.
Exactly.
Okay, what do you have for us?
All right, so here it is. As synthetic media keeps getting more sophisticated, so much so that it's almost impossible to tell apart from reality,
Right.
how are we going to navigate that increasingly blurry line between what's real and what's artificial?
Oh, wow.
It's something Jörg-Owe grapples with in his essay,
Yeah.
and it has some pretty profound implications, don't you think?
It really makes you think about what truth even means.
Yeah.
Authenticity in this digital age.
Yeah, what happens when we can't even rely on our own senses anymore?
Right.
Tell us what's real.
It's like we're in this hall of mirrors.
Yeah.
Reality is, fractured, distorted.
How do we make sense of it all?
Well, as Schneepat says, critical thinking becomes our most important tool.
Okay.
We have to be aware of the potential for manipulation.
Right.
Question everything, seek out different perspectives.
So be more discerning consumers of information.
Yeah.
Think carefully about the content we create. Be responsible digital citizens.
Exactly. And remember, while there are challenges,
Oh, for sure.
there are incredible opportunities too.
Like what?
Synthetic media could revolutionize things like education, healthcare.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that.
It reminds us that technology is a tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's how we use it that matters.
I like that. That choice is in our hands. We have the power to shape this.
Exactly. We can guide its development in a way that benefits everyone, minimizes the risks.
So, to all our listeners out there,
Yeah,
embrace the possibilities of synthetic media,
for sure.
but do it with a critical eye.
Mm-hmm.
Be part of the conversation. Ask the tough questions. Help us shape this tech for good.
Because the future of synthetic media is the future of our digital lives.
Wow.
And that future is being written right now.
Well said. Well, on that note, we'll wrap things up for today.
Okay.
But remember, this conversation doesn't end here.
No.
Keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep diving deep into this amazing world of synthetic media.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Until next time, everyone.